So two people start a business together. One of them doesn't show up. Maybe there's a substance abuse problem. Maybe they just don't like each other. And they don't have an agreement that spells out how to handle these situations. So you have two partners who are butting heads with no real escape route, and they end up in litigation. Litigation is expensive.
Hello, David. Welcome to Oysterlink, and thank you for joining us today.
How you doing, Matt? Good to see you.
All good. Thank you so much. So to start with, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background and your law firm?
Sure. My name is David Helbraun. I am the founder and managing partner of Hellbronn Levy. We are the largest full-service, one-stop shop law firm for the F&B industry. We represent restaurants, bars, hotels, chefs, and everything in between. I'm a 40-year veteran of the industry. I used to work front of the house, bartending when I was a young person, and then I opened up some coffee bars in my 20s and 30s, and I ran and owned some coffee bars in Manhattan. And then as my second career, 20 years ago, I started this law firm. And I started as a solo, and all my friends were in the restaurant industry. And I was always frustrated as an operator that I had three lawyers. I had a real estate lawyer, I had a business lawyer, and I had a liquor license lawyer, and nobody was kind of putting it all together into one firm. So I decided to do that. And 20 years later, we're a 40-person firm and right in the middle of everything in New York City, Miami, and around the country.
Impressive. So you know the industry inside out. Okay, this is great. Then let me start with the restaurants. So how important it is for a restaurant, or let's say a bar, to have a lawyer on their team?
A lawyer is indispensable, and I say that not just because I am one. We get involved from the very beginning. If you have a business plan and you're ready to go, you come to a lawyer and we help you raise money. We put together investor documents, make sure that's all buttoned up. And then once you raise your money, we help you sign a lease and negotiate a lease, which we all know can be very tricky. After that, we help you file a trademark so you can protect your brand. We're then going to help you get a liquor license and a health department license and an outdoor dining license. And then once you're open and ready to open, we'll put together an employee handbook for you and do some management training. So we really are involved in all aspects of pre-opening. And then once you're open, we are your general counsel. So anything that comes along, whether it's an employee issue or a customer issue or a vendor issue, we're there for you.
So since you mentioned the lease agreement, I want to get back to that and ask you about something I read on your Instagram, which is the good guy guarantee. So this clause, if you can explain it more, maybe it could be a good example of why is it important to have like a legal advisor from the beginning.
Well, a good guy guarantee is part of a lease, and it's really particular to New York City. We've tried to bring the concept over to other cities with very little luck, and here's how it works. When somebody signs a lease for a new company for a restaurant, the landlord is not going to be satisfied having that company guarantee the lease. That company has no assets. So they're going to look to the person, Matt, to be the guarantor. So now you're on the hook for 10 years of rent. Scary proposition, especially here in New York City. So the good guy guarantee says that both the landlord and the tenant are going to be good guys. And if Matt's going out of business and things aren't going well in year 2, he can give the landlord a certain amount of notice, usually like 3 to 6 months. And at the end of that 3 to 6 months, the landlord will tear up the good guy guarantee. You will be off the hook. You have to return the keys. You have to pay all the rent you owe to that point, and then you can walk away. So it's a way for you to escape this personal liability.
Nice. And this is only in New York City?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me also ask you from your experience, like what are some of the top, let's say, legal mistakes that operators or chefs make when building their teams?
Well, I'd say number one is your partnership agreement. Oftentimes, chefs will go into business with a GM or a friend or some guys with money, And it's really important to make sure from the start that you, as the operator and the brains behind the concept, have some control. So you don't want to get stuck in a situation where your investor or your partner, who's not nearly as involved as you are, gets to exert control over the company. So we want to make sure from day one that your operating agreement of your LLC is set up that way.
Okay. What other things, like let's say two more things?
Two more
Top
things.
mistakes.
Sure.
Yeah, top mistakes that they would commit.
Top mistakes, a lot of times they're not legal. A lot of times they're business mistakes. One of them is, and you've heard this before, I'm sure, but people are undercapitalized. So you think a project's going to cost, let's say $500,000, but it really ends up costing $800,000. So people are not putting enough time oftentimes into their business plan from the start, really pricing out what every little thing is going to cost. Because the last thing in the world you want to do is raise $500,000 and then go back to your investor pool and say, I'm short. They're not going to have confidence in you moving forward, and you're going to be stuck. So that's a huge problem we see all the time. Another legal issue that we see is that people do not protect their trademarks. So they'll open up a restaurant, they'll call it Matt's Cafe, and Matt's Cafe can't be trademarked because it's too common, it's too generic. And then they want to expand it and they want to grow it, and then they run into problems. Or they want to open up a Matt's Cafe and they don't check to see that there's a trademark already for the name Matt's Cafe, and they get a letter from a lawyer that we call a nastygram that comes in, a couple of months saying you got to take your name down.
So once the business is up and running, you say that you provide, let's say, the legal help during the first phase, like setting everything up. Once the business is up and running, how often do people need, like, let's say, legal advisory?
Hopefully not that often, and I really mean that.
Okay, that's good.
Oftentimes, things come up. For example, it's catering season now. So everybody's interested in getting a really good catering contract for private events. So they'll call us and say, hey, I really need this, and we'll whip them up a private events contract. A lot of things happen with employees, wage and hour issues, harassment issues. Those are constant issues in the industry that we're all trying to address, but they come up during the course of a business all the time. Sometimes exciting things come to us, like, hey, our restaurant's doing so great, we want to expand. Can you help us figure out how to grow a hospitality group and set ourselves up so we can open up multiple locations, so we can open up a CPG arm, so we can do an overseas license agreement, so we can do a management agreement with a hotel. So that's the fun part for us.
Okay. So in order for a business, let's say, to be legally protected, what's the model? Should they, for example, hire someone all the time, like full-time lawyer, or should they get an advisor? What kind of, let's say, plan that you advise businesses to have? Hospitality businesses in specific.
Well, you should have a lawyer who understands the hospitality industry. It's a very, very specific industry, and you have to know what the norms are, what the customs are, and how to navigate through it. And general business attorneys sometimes don't understand the nuances of our industry. So find a hospitality firm, Hellbronn Levy being a great option, and have somebody on board from the time you think that this is going to be something you can actually do and get off the ground.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you. And yeah, I hope that every business should consider having a legal advisor from the beginning. I mean, as you described right now, it's too serious. Have you seen any businesses sinking because of, like, they never handled their, like, legal issues well? Successful businesses.
Oh, sure. It happens all the time. Most oftentimes it happens with partnership problems. So two people start a business together. One of them doesn't show up. Maybe there's a substance abuse problem. Maybe they just don't like each other. And they don't have an agreement that spells out how to handle these situations. So you have two partners who are butting heads with no real escape route, and they end up in litigation. Litigation is expensive. And depending on how that goes, oftentimes they will just end up selling the business. It's not worth it. They don't have the money.
Yeah.
We've seen that. We've seen many, many restaurants fold just because of that reason, because partners couldn't get along and there's no method for them to kind of get one of the people out.
That's interesting.
Sad, really.
Yeah, of course. I mean, sad, but it has to be interesting for everyone starting a business to keep an eye on this.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing these insights today.
Thanks for having me.